Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. Today, we've got 4 decks for you, each of which won an Infinity Order. Yep, that is 4 decks that went undefeated in Infinity Conquest and claimed an Infinity Order. Before we get to those, though, please hit that sub button, hit that like, hit that comment. We bring you 7 days a week of videos. Happy 4th of July. We don't take off holidays. We don't take off any days. It's been about a year and a half of every day a video. Saturday videos used to be on the Marvel Snap Zone YouTube. Now they're over here. They're a podcast of some of Marvel Snap's top players. In addition to that, we bring you at least 3 brand new decks every single weekday. Lately, we've been doing 4 decks every single weekday where possible. Original decks that we show you how to play. Hit that sub button. If you're already subbed, hit that like, hit that comment. We also do the biggest giveaways in Marvel Snap. This season, we're giving away, as of right now, 13 season passes. By the end of the season, it'll be something like 17 or 18 season passes for the Gwenpool Deadpool vs. Wolverine season. If you are interested in winning, hit that sub button, hit that like. All you have to do is leave us very specific comments on this video. At some point in this video, during the Arishem Thoughts section, we have top players give Arishem Thoughts. During the Arishem Thoughts section, there will be a question. You will comment your answer to that question, and you'll be entered to win a season pass. Every single day's video, I go through the comments. One comment made on that video wins the season pass. Got it? So if you comment on today's video, that's an entry to win from today's video. If you want to check out yesterday's video or the day before's video, commenting on those in the appropriate spot, as long as you're subbed, is another entry to win a season pass for that one. So if you're interested, please do check it out. If I could give everyone a season pass, honest to God, I would. All right. Our first deck is from our friend JD Macdonaldinho. This is an Infinity winning Arishem, and this is, thus far, my most successful Arishem deck. Why is this deck working so well? It doesn't run Shang-Chi. It's not running any of the silly blob combo stuff that you're seeing all over the place with, it's not silly, it's powerful, but it's just inconsistent. With Absorbing Man to copy blob or Mystique to copy blob. This deck is just sort of running good stuff. It's running a nice, simple, good stuff version of the deck, and it keeps winning. The cards it sees are good in any circumstance. You don't need any combos. You don't need any bullshit. You just play the cards as best you can, playing good stuff, and you're able to win games. Again, this has been my most successful deck. I got an Infinity ticket with it from Silver, and Macdonaldinho won an Infinity Conquest with it. So that makes it 10-0 as of right now in Conquest, to the best of my knowledge. JD only took it once into Infinity Conquest. You can find JD Macdonaldinho if he ever decides to frickin' stream at twitch.tv/JD Macdonaldinho. He is, well, let's actually save that for the next slide, because we're going to prop our friend in a moment. Valentina for this list can be Cable. Nocturne is just a good stuff card that can be Red Guardian or Shang-Chi. Loki can be Absorbing Man, Shang, or Enchantress, although if I didn't have Loki, I think one of the things I would be doing, one of the more likely things to do if you don't have Loki, is to just run that more combo-y Absorbing Man Mystique style of the deck. I think the beauty and power of the deck is that you would really, really like to, where possible, be a Loki deck, because getting an opponent's deck at -1 energy and -1 cost to their cards and +1 energy on yours on either turn 3 or turn 4 is insanely overpowered, and generally worth doing against anything that is not a Darkhawk deck. It is not great against Darkhawk deck because they have Darkhawk too, and their Darkhawk is bigger. But against basically anything else, you are good to go, especially if you get Loki on 3. Turn 5, Vision. Should probably be Shang-Chi or Mockingbird, but I've had a lot of success with Vision. The whole moving power thing Vision does without being Shang vulnerable is really, really great. A lot of people are just trying to go super huge blob, super huge this, super huge that, and what you're doing is ultimately leaving yourself open to Shang-Chi, Enchantress, Shadow King type stuff. We'll talk more about those cards and how they work against Arishem later on. But what you're doing is leaving yourself open to that. Well, Vision isn't open to any of that and makes it hard for your opponent to figure out where to put power. And I think Blob is just required. Blob is the only card. Blob and Loki, I think, are the 2 most required right now Arishem cards. There's no real turn by turns for this deck, but this is an insanely strong deck that was extra strong in Conquest, where people are looking to stop your combos, and instead of combos, you are just playing good stuff. Turn 1, Quinjet over Valentina. Quinjet is like one of the key cards of the list. Turn 2, Coulson is generally better than a 1. I would play Coulson over Quinjet a reasonable amount of time, not always, but a reasonable amount of time, over Nocturne. Sometimes I'll drop Valentina on 2 because then I can play the Valentina card on 3. Again, I'm reading the board, I'm seeing what opponents are doing, if they're playing Arishem or not, right? If they are playing Arishem, I really like to get Nocturne out. Nocturne is very good in that matchup. Like, Arishem decks aren't flexible, right? They're stuck just playing good cards where they can, and you can leverage your movement cards, your ability to sort of shake and bake power. Turn 3, you Loki, and if you know you have Loki for turn 3, unless you have card draw or Quinjet, I tend to just hold cards for a bigger Loki. Like, I've skipped playing Nocturne. I will play Coulson, obviously, because that gives me more cards, and I will play Quinjet because that makes Loki even better, but and I will play Valentina because that obviously gives me a card to Loki, but I would much rather just Loki a shit ton of cards. If I have a general-sized hand, I will sometimes play Nick Fury on 3 and then Loki on 4. I know that's one less turn of Loki, but the +1 extra energy tends to make up for it. And sometimes you get such good cards out of Nick Fury that you don't want to Loki anymore. You can also just play your generated cards from like Coulson, a Nocturne, and like a Quinjet, or just drop Nick Fury here. Turn 4, if you can drop Vision. Vision on turn 4 feels very overpowered. No one's talking about it, but it really does. Same thing for Legion and a lot of other versions of this deck. We've got Darkhawk, Nick Fury, or Loki, also fine on turn 4. Again, read the board, know what they're playing. If Darkhawk's gonna be overpowered, they probably don't have Shang, feel free. But a lot of the times, you're better off holding Darkhawk. Rogue is everywhere. Turn 5, you can play a 4 or a Fury card, or you can play Blob. The card I most like to play on turn 5, though, is Magneto to clog. Very often, especially in Southern Arishem decks, there's a lot of 3s on the board, and then you play Magneto, you clog a location, and you just sort of win it alone with Magneto. And then turn 6 is Blob or Rogue Plus. You would like to play Blob, but sometimes you can get out that Rogue, steal the opponent's Blob, steal the opponent's Darkhawk, and win the game that way, and play that with whatever other card. You can play that again with a 4-drop, a Coulson card, that kind of card, and be just fine. Again, this one does not look like it should be as good as it does. I strongly urge people, especially people who are just generally good at playing good stuff decks, to try this list, because this has been my most successful Arishem deck thus far. Also, Macdonaldinho, not with this deck, with the deck we featured of his last week, because he's not playing this on ladder, this was for Conquest, hit top 100 from rank like 8,000 with that Clog deck. So if you want to go back in last week and check out that Macdonaldinho Clog deck, it had climbed to rank 1,000, it has now climbed into the top 100. Hey, do you like Marvel Snap tournaments and wish there was in person? If you're in New York or can get to New York on July 12th, that is a Friday at 6 p.m. at Brooklan in Brooklyn, New York. It's Brook, L-A-N. In Brooklyn, New York, there will be a Marvel Snap tournament hosted by myself and Super Tech God, Power on Gaming, where there will be cash prizes. We've got at least $200 in prizes, plus more for entry. You come meet us. Tech and I will be there. GamingwithFlashX will be there. A bunch of other people. Cena will be there. A bunch of other people will be there. Come have some drinks with us. Play some Marvel Snap cards. Have a great time. Bet your Perry Manilow's there, etc., etc. Dara showed up last time. If you want to meet Dara, show up. Brookland, July 12th. Okay. Top players' thoughts on Arishem. Every week, a new card comes out in Marvel Snap, and every week I ask the top Infinite players and some of the biggest and best content creators what they think of that new card. So the first person asked was Spyro, and I just want to give quick props to Spyro. Spyro got his Marvel Snap loving ass on the front page of Twitch and had a bajillion viewers, probably the biggest Marvel Snap stream I've ever seen at like 11 to 12,000 people. So props to Spyro. So Spyro says, hard to say. The meta is mirrors and counters. Arishem is decent but unpredictable. He dropped 200 snap points and 150 ranks because mirrors are 50-50 and you're 30-70 for counters. And the meta is, again, all counters. So, interesting, right? You're going to see this a lot throughout as we look through. It's hard to evaluate because the meta is so warped right now. Cool. Dottgeo, again, the meta has to stabilize. My prediction is Arishem will be insane. That makes sense. That also fits with what our Lambie quote was yesterday, where extra energy is godlike and good players can leverage the lack of knowledge. So that is why Arishem would be insane for those reasons. Dottgeo is the Italian player who won our Snap Grand Prix and was on the winning Johnson Cup team. It's just one of the best players in the world, in my personal opinion, the best in-game player I know of. Husky Puppies finished in the top 5 2 seasons ago and created that two of the best Hella decks ever. Says, unfortunately, it's a real deck. Vulnerable to scams, though. So this is a real deck. Arishem is real. It is good. It is powerful. Don't think it's not great. Husky doesn't like it, obviously, based on the unfortunately, but it is vulnerable to scams. Scams being Darkhawk shenanigans, but also Shang-Chi Shadow King shenanigans. Tanjo's answer is my favorite. Tanjo was number 1 last season. He's like number 3 this season. He was number 2 the season before that. He's an unbelievable player, and I love his answer. Honestly, I have no idea. Best answer possible. Butt is fairly similar. Butt won the Snap Judgments League Series 2, current top 5 player, top 5 2 seasons ago. Fun. No idea how balanced it is. Right? This could be completely unbalanced and busted, or not, but it is ridiculously fun for most players. We're going to hear from another top player who does not think it is fun. Gnome, the great Gnome Plays, who you can check out on Twitch, who won the most recent, Pursuit Gaming Tournament. First bit was some of the most fun I've had. Pure Ari mirrors are fun. Darkhawk, even in Arishem, got pretty degenerate pretty fast. Great. So Darkhawk is a problem for this card. It's probably a necessary problem for this card not to get too good. But the entire meta being Arishem and Darkhawk is going to be very strange. Something's going to have to break that trend for it. BBAK, number 1 in the February season, number 2 last season, I believe. Just a phenomenal player sitting in the top 20 right now. Good card. Most top players don't use Arishem and add Darkhawk to their decks, even if it's not a Darkhawk deck. They're just throwing Darkhawk in because it just wins that matchup and you don't play it otherwise. Says the meta will cycle a bit, then decisions will be made. That makes sense to me. W, best deck builder in the game's history, created numerous meta decks. That's polarizing. The Loki build seems nice, but we need time. Okay. Interesting. A lot of top players are... So everyone seems to think it's good, but they can't tell how good because of the meta, is mostly what we're going with. FAK Soul Intent, the leader of the team FAK, one of the most famous and impressive teams in Marvel Snap, looked like it would be so-so, but we ended up with a whole new big bad experience. So obviously better than so-so. Very powerful card. The big bad experience means that this becomes the whole meta right away, much like High Evolutionary did. High Evolutionary was everywhere until it was nerfed. Is Arishem going to have to be nerfed? It's hard to say. Honest to God, I'm not even sure how the hell you nerf this card. So, it might just be what it is. Colmy says it's not tier 1 or a meta breaker, but gives life to interesting decks, and thankfully, makes the meta have less mill. Mill was finally an archetype, but a lot of top players hated Mill, including Comey's, the current Marvel Snap World Champion, another Italian player. So, getting rid of Mill is an upside to Arishem, and if it's not meta breaking, then great, as long as it gets rid of Mill. Lastly, we're going to go over the top player who likes it least. This is FAK Mulwin. Mulwin is a great player. He won the most recent Lambie Open and was top 5 in, 2 seasons ago or so. With one card, they return Blob and Darkhawk. There's also more Mockingbird and Loki, with Leech coming soon. It's all the cards I don't like. I'm frustrated. But objectively, the meta has found its new version of good cards and may require a lot of expensive card support. And I disagree with that. I think the only really important cards here are Blob and Loki, and you can do without the others. You'd probably like to have Mockingbird. So, this is the giveaway question. I'm going to list a bunch of cards. Your job is to either answer which of these you think of the second group are most likely to find their home, or what cards, and I prefer this one, what cards belong in these decks that I didn't think of. So the support cards that are like in most of these decks are Blob, Mockingbird, Loki, Quinjet, and Coulson. They're in almost every version of this. Darkhawk is for now, as long as all the mirrors are here. Shog, Enchantress, and Rogue are around a lot because they're tech cards. Cool. Other cards. Warlock, Phastos, Hope. I think Hope is better than Phastos in these lists. Call me crazy, but I honestly do. Warlock, Phastos, Hope. Leech, Absorbing Man, Mystique. Legion, M'Baku, Nick Fury, Cable, Magneto, Valentina, Sarah, Nocturne, and Wave. I think the top group are basically in all of them, and we're sort of cycling through the bottom group to figure out which is the best and which is where we want to be with these lists. Is there anything I'm forgetting in that second group that we need to test, to cycle through, to figure out if it belongs in Arishem lists? Got it? That's what you're commenting. Or you can just say which of these you think are most likely to become pivotal as we go forward. I just thought of another card, but I'm not going to say it. Cool. Let's keep going with our next deck. This is Snap Variants, Britney Surfer. Why Britney? Because it's toxic. This is a lovely version of Toxic Surfer that, you guessed it, won an Infinity border. It's also been dominating on ladder. Surfer is the sleeper deck of the meta. It is one of the best decks that no one ever talks about, even though it's played on the top of ladder and the top of the metagame all the frickin' time. This version of Surfer is very strange and very different, but I kind of love it. I have not had time to test it yet, but spoiler, I'm going to play the shit out of this list because I love me a good Surfer and I love me a different Surfer, and Snap Variant Surfer lists are, no offense to Ben Roller Earruffs, becoming my favorite list of Surfer. He had the Moon Girl Makari Surfer that I loved a couple of weeks ago, and now this Toxic Surfer that looks so cool. And so, like, perfect for the meta. Alright, so you can find Snap Variant at twitter.com/snapvariant, where he shares, you guessed it, variants of Marvel Snap cards. So Agent is needed for this version, and so is Gladiator. Man-Thing can be Absorb Men, but you're going to have to add Hope and Brood if you're going to do that. Luckily, there's other high series cards. Mobius can be Cosmo or Juggernaut, but if you're doing the Man-Thing cut, you'll be fine to change that. And Red Guardian sort of must be Rogue if you're cutting it. Cool. Red Guardian's really hilarious because a lot of people are just leaving Darkhawk alone in the lane and being like, that's solos. Well, not when Red Guardian takes it down to a 2. In Red Guardian's a 3 and immediately beats it alone. That's why you have to replace with Rogue, because Rogue can win that same way. Alright, so this again, won an Infinity border. Turn 1, you drop Nova. Turn 2 is usually Pass or Nova. You don't really want a Shadow King or US Agent early. Turn 3, Mobius versus Shaw versus Gladiator versus Red Guardian. You Shaw if there's a location that's giving power, but Shaw is usually held for later. Shaw doesn't feel important in this list. I didn't actually give you a replacement for Shaw. You can replace Shaw with kind of anything that's good and has stats. Shaw is very just like extra statsy here. So any decent 3 like a Polaris or Spider-Man is totally fine to replace Shaw. Mobius is your opponent playing Loki? Is your opponent playing anything that Mobius would shut down? Feel free to play it. Obviously, if you see a Mysterio or anything, you're dropping Mobius. Gladiators if you just need stats, and Red Guardian is if you can kill a Ravonna mostly, or an Athena. Turn 4 is generally the only real turn you usually play Man-Thing. You really, really, really want to get Man-Thing out on turn 4, usually where the opponent has a couple things, especially if you have Luke Cage. But you're fine just saying, all right, I'm going to Man-Thing and make this lane something that they really have to compete for. If not, you can drop a 3 and just check the turn 3 stuff. You can also, drop Luke Cage on turn 3, but be careful, Rogue is everywhere. Turn 5 is Sarah, or a 3 plus US Agent. This is, again, a decent Luke Cage spot, especially if you can play it with another ongoing. Remember that if the opponent rogues US Agent or Man-Thing, it doesn't actually change anything that's happening in that location. It's only if they hit Luke that changes the power. And then turn 6, Surfer with Agent, Shadow King, and a 3 of Sarah, which is just insane, right? Playing US Agent, Shadow King, Surfer, and Luke Cage is just overpowered to end the game. If not, you play just 2 3s. Cool. You can also play 3 3s if you don't have the Shadow King US Agent thing going with Sarah. Sarah is very important to this version. But it is a really cool and really powerful list. US Agent and Man-Thing absolutely steal cubes. No one expects them in Surfer. They are very hard to play around, and you're going to win a lot of games of Snap by just having them in the deck. Cool. Again, Infinity border winner. Every deck we talk about today will be. Hey, are you interested in Marvel Snap tournaments? If so, please sign up for Snap Judgments League Season 3. I saw a lot of people in yesterday's comments be like, I'm not good enough for tournaments. You are in a, like most of the people that are in these tournaments are not top players. You're in a pot of 32 players. You get hot, win a few games. You have a chance to win a season pass. At $1, what do you have to lose? It's a really fun and great experience. I strongly urge you to check it out. Check out patreon.com/snapjudgments or the Snap Judgments League Discord in the link to this video. Again, with pods of 32, I don't think you'll regret it. You'll get to play and meet some really cool people. If you're looking to make friends in the community, a lot of people have made friends with their opponents in this, and still talk to them to this day. Next up, we have Arishem. So we're doing 2 Arishem decks, 2 non-Arishem decks, right? This is Aoi's Arishem deck. This is a much more normal version of what we'd expect here. Although, again, note, I think the best versions of, or the versions of Arishem I'm personally having most success with are running 1 tech card for the most part. This one is doing the wave thing, because if you can get the wave, you get lucky, get the wave on 2, you can then drop a 6 on 3, while if your opponent's not Arishem, they can't. Adam Warlock on 4 is insanely powerful, especially if you can get a Mockingbird out early, or Fastos is making things cheaper, etc., etc. Quinjet's making things cheaper, and so you can get a lot of power out early. Adam Warlock drawing cards is absolutely humongous, having more things to do, and of course Loki is insane. So this is Aoi's Arishem deck. Aoi's our French friend, who is one of the top 10 players in Marvel Snap. You can find Aoi at twitch.tv/Aoi. There are 5 eyes in that. He's also at Aoi Snap. Aoi Marvel Snap, or Aoi Snap, whatever, on YouTube. If you type in Aoi Marvel Snap, you'll find him. Fastos and Nocturne can be Hope, Cable, Jeff, or Rogue, or Enchantress. Any of those are fine. I am partial to Hope for Fastos. If you have it, I again think Hope is better. Loki is can be one of the above cards, or Nick Fury. I think Loki is again fairly pivotal. Mockingbird can be Legion or Vision, and I think Blob is the one real must-have here. So Aoi got an Infinity Border with this. Shocking, Aoi's a phenomenal player. So turn 1, Quinjet. Turn 2, Fastos is better than Coulson's, better than Nocturne. You wave when you're cheating and the opponent is not Arishem, and you can cheat out a big card. Turn 3, Loki if the hand is mid, or a turn 2 play. Turn 4, Adam Warlock, or Loki or Mockingbird. Turn 5, you do one of the turn 4 plays, or you can Magneto to Clog, or you can just drop Log. Turn 6 is Shang, or one of the turn 5 plays. Nice and simple. You're obviously going to have a bunch of other cards that can change your strategy. If you want to get good at Marvel Snap, practice winning with Arishem against non-Arishem decks and learning to play what you have in ways that can win you the game. It will make you a better player. It is my personal belief at this point. Alright, so this is Aoi's Arishem deck. Really, really powerful list. Very cool. I personally like the first list better, but do we know which one is better at this point? No, we don't. Yeah. Alright, if you are interested in gameplay for any or all of these decks, please check out the stream team. Streaming today at 10 a.m. Eastern. Actually, I have no idea if he's actually going to make that stream, because today is the 4th of July, is the great FaThorNewman. If not, I'll ask Tuccrr to stream some of these along with tomorrow's decks in tomorrow's video at 9 or 10 Eastern. Cool. The stream team is a way for you to get gameplay for these decks, so please check it out. Next up, our final list is one we've seen before. Why is this here? What the hell? Well, if you know that every single deck here got an infinite border, and you know that it's an Arishem meta, you can infer what the hell this is doing here. Guess who played this list to an infinity border? It was me. I was killing an hour, like I was waiting for a work call, and I was like, I guess I'll burn through the Infinity Conquest ticket I got with that previous Arishem deck. I was sort of getting bored of playing Arishem decks. I had tested like 50. I'm trying to figure out what cards are good, do my due diligence, and I was like, I miss playing my wolfhawk deck. It's the only Darkhawk deck I have built. So I played it. I got 200 ranks on the Infinite Leaderboard, and then I was like, let's do the Infinity Conquest. I've been like 800 on the Infinite Leaderboard this season. So I decided to take it to an Infinity Conquest, and I lost 5 cubes the whole time. I played 4 Arishems and 1 Cerebro 3. I lost 1 4-cuber to me being silly, and I retreated a really terrible board situation in one of the games. And outside of that, I just rolled. I rolled everything. I absolutely destroyed Arishem decks. This is where you want to go if you're trying to beat Arishem and you want to have fun and not just play like a hard counter. Because this deck also, because the Infinite Conquest is all Arishem right now, but ladder, it's about 50% Arishem in my experience, at least in the top 1,000-ish. So every other game, I'm not playing Arishem, and this deck still beats the shit out of plenty of other things. This was absolutely terrible, terrible, terrible. Super weak to mill, but Arishem has chased all the mill out of the meta. Like, a lot of the decks that are really bad mashups for this are just sort of gone because of mill. Cool. Alright, so Darkhawk and Sage are your 2 needed cards. Grandmaster or Nico can be Falcon, and if you don't have both, you can add Iceman or Hawkeye. Depends if you want disruption. I'm partial to Iceman, but Hawkeye is fine here too. You can often get Hawkeye to 118. That could also probably be Rocket, but I greatly prefer Iceman. So that. Next up, we have White Widow, can be Baron Mordo or Medusa, and Werewolf can be Absman. Werewolf being Absman is a way to copy Sage, or a way to copy Black Widow. Black Widow is insanely good right now. Just for the record, Black Widow is crazy powerful. Werewolf is just really good too. Werewolf is often like 17 power because these decks aren't running enough disruption to really get in the way. Alright, so this is the easiest Infinity border in my life. I doubt I'm ever going to get an easy one. Turn 1, you Korg over Bast over Hood, if no 2. I do not Korg on 1 against Arishem decks. They already have 5,000 cards in their deck, and they're unlikely to draw that rock. I'd rather save Korg for later and see if I can use it for either Werewolf or as a way to pump, like, in a specific location for Sage. Or I'll drop it as an extra card with Beast, or an extra card at the end of the game with Darkhawk, something like that. So Bast or Hood, if no 2. Turn 2, I'm perfectly fine playing Widow Cold in a corner location. I generally play Korg or Bast in the center. Although, depending on what I hit with Bast, sometimes I won't Bast, right? I'm trying to Bast Hood specifically and Sage. Any other Bast target is fine, but those are the two I'm really looking for here. So Widow, or you can just drop 2 1s. Sometimes that's like a Demon and a Bast. Sometimes that's a Korg, whatever. Sometimes, especially on Hood, you're just going to Grandmaster. That's totally fine. I tend to try and save my Grandmaster for more high priority because, the turn 2 should be White Widow, not Black Widow, obviously. So I tend to try and save Grandmaster for White Widow, Black Widow, or Beast. Once in a while Sage, but that's rare. Turn 3 is Werewolf or Black Widow, and you're going to have to read the board. Black Widow is fairly often just better, especially if you can then... if they're playing really slow, Widow is very, very good. If they've got a lot of cards and don't seem to have Bounce or Destroy, Widow is very good. Black Widow is very good. Once in a while, if I've got a couple 2 1s in a location, let's say I've got a Hood and a White Widow, I will drop a Sage there to Beast it the next turn. You can also Beast that turn, play a bunch of 1s mid on turn 4, right? So you play a bunch of 1s or whatever in the corner, right? Like 1s and White Widow in left or right lane. Cool. Then on turn 3, you Beast that back. And in the corner, right? Like, so Beast is in the left corner, say. Then you play all those cards mid on turn 3. And you can Grandmaster the Beast, pushing Beast to the middle, bouncing back all those cards again. It's so cool. Alright, so turn 4, Grandmaster and Bounce, or you can move over some 1s, which means you basically use 1s to bounce around your Werewolf. Turn 5 is Darkhawk or Sage Shadow King and free stuff. If you Beasted, Sage Shadow King free stuff is perfectly fine. I tend to prefer to drop Darkhawk here and just be like, don't compete for this lane. Although, obviously, they could have Rogue Shadow King, etc. Fairly often, if they're doing that at the end of the game, though, I can still win. Because Shadow King is an absolute cube thief of Blob. I've seen a decent amount of armor with Blob, which I don't think is right. But Shadow King don't care. So Shadow King and a Demon wins that lane just freaking fine. So I will Shadow King and Demon, and I will drop Sage somewhere, and that will win. So you can Darkhawk and Demon, or Darkhawk and Korg, or you can Sage, Shadow King, and Demon. Either one of those are perfectly fine and win the damn game of Marvel Snap. Again, easiest Infinity border of my life. I cannot urge you to play this deck strongly enough. This has been my favorite deck in the game. I've got an 80% win rate on ladder throughout the season, including before Arishem. So this deck just works. Again, if you're not seeing Mill, this is one of the strongest things to do in Marvel Snap. Sure, it is time for our questions of the day. So Mr. Kerfuffle asks, if there's one thing you can do or eat in New York, what would it be? So you're probably going to have to go out to Brooklyn, but you want to get some good pizza. New York City pizza is good, but there's actually a great place right by NYU. If you end up by NYU across the street from the campus, there's a really great pizza spot, but the name escapes me. I would eat pizza, and this is cliche as all shit, but I mean, you should probably see a Broadway play, and you should probably go to the Met. I adore the Met. I used to go to the Met all the time before Noah. I need to take Noah to the Met, but he's 8 and not super into it. Whenever we try and go, he doesn't love it. But I love the Met. The art is gorgeous. There's so many things to see from some of the greatest people in history. It's amazing. I adore it. Noah prefers the Museum of Natural History. I also, if you shoot me a message, one of my friends goes viral all the time. I don't know, friend. One of my acquaintances online goes viral all the time. And at some point, right around COVID, coming out of COVID, he sent this, he made this post that went viral that was basically, hey, what's your favorite secret spot to eat in New York? And a million people replied. So I grabbed all those replies and shoved them in a Google Sheets. So I have that sheet. If you just want like list of 1,000 good places to eat, I have it sorted. I didn't bother figuring out location because that's what Google is for. But I sorted it by different food types. So if you want that, shoot me a message on Discord, please. X Hamel got Arishem in 1 cash and wants to know what you do here with Hercules if you want to play move. I think you have 2 months to save 3,000 tokens for Hercules, and that's probably worth it. And you instead use your Spotlight caches if you have 3 extra saved to get 2 Series 4 cards. Sorry, excuse me, 2 Series 5 cards. I think that is a much more valuable thing to do. Frostman asks if Cosmo's dead. Nope, Cosmo's great. People don't play Cosmo enough because they want to play on reveals, but Cosmo is an absolutely stellar card. Last season, I forgot the name. BBAK finished number 2 with this, the Infinite Leaderboard with the Surfer list, and his secret weapon was Cosmo. He'd get priority and the game by going Surfer, then Cosmo, and just winning. Cosmo's stellar. Cosmo can shut down blobs and say you can't blob in this location and just win games that way. It's insanely strong right now. People aren't playing it because it's both-sided and they want to abuse their own on-reveals. If you can manage to play a deck that doesn't abuse your own on-reveals, Cosmo is amazing. Here Tixley wants to know how often borders are supposed to show up in the shop, and it's a complete random thing. They should show up as much as everything else. However, there's 10 million avatars in the game, like 6 borders and like 5 emotes. So you should be getting mostly avatars, which royally sucks. Hopefully they just make a line that are borders and emotes, and then, you don't have to wait 6 months to find the one. Anthony Garces asked my favorite summer vacation activity as a kid and adult. So as a kid, this is not going to sound great. All I wanted to do all summer was sort of like lay around friends' houses. I'd go to camp and I'd do this and that. But like my favorite thing to do in the summer, outside of pools, I love swimming, right? But outside of going to a pool was just hanging out with friends at their houses, usually at AC. I don't love the heat. My favorite summer vacation activity as an adult is traveling with my family. We're going away to the Bahamas for 4 days in the middle of July, like the 17th to 21st, and we're going to Colombia to visit my wife's family. If you've seen Encanto, we're going to the valley that's based on, literally the town that's based on, where her brother lives. For like a week in August, right around SnapCon. That's sorry, I'm not going to SnapCon. But that kind of trip with my family is always my favorite. I love going with my family. If I could figure out, I'm not going to, but if I could do my videos there, it would be absolutely perfect. But instead, I unplug like a good adult dad person and just read books, hang out, spend time, be present, But ultimately, good times were had by all. So those are my favorite summer vacation activities. The other favorite summer vacation activity, I guess I didn't think of this until I started talking about it, was I get to read books and play video games over the summer. I'm going to play some Baldur's Gate 3. I've been holding off on it forever. I'm going to play Baldur's Gate 3, so let's see if I like it. I haven't ever liked a CRPG, but this could be the one. And in addition to Baldur's Gate 3, I've got 2 books to finish. I've gotten a couple I'm like 4 chapters into Babel, and I'm really enjoying it. And I'm reading the Jorb's book. I'm like 2 chapters in, 3 chapters into that. So I'm going to finish both of those books this summer. I'm going to hopefully get some good hours into a video game. I'm going to make a ton of Marvel Snap content for y'all, and hopefully have a wonderful summer. Hey, if you'd like to help me have a wonderful summer, one of my goals this summer is to try and get 1 new person to sign up for the Patreon each week, either the $5 or $10 tier. The $5 tier comes with early access to videos and all sorts of other perks. The $10 tier comes with on-air thanks and all sorts of exclusive videos and content. So if you're interested, check out patreon.com/snapjudgments. These are the $10 patrons. I'd like to say thank you to Abigail Giesland, Mandatory Burnout, hello friend, Gables, we miss you. Irregardless, it is a word. David G. Wingfield. Direwolf, hey Direwolf. LAB, always kind. FaThorNewman, check him out on YouTube. Good Dog Gamer, reached out. Thank you for reaching out, Good Dog. This is the way all the way from Scotland. Ink, who apparently does like graphite. Excuse me for spreading ink slander. Ink is all inclusive. I am Frostman, you sure are. Jay Nevery, hello Jay. Doomer, hi Doomer. Primed Ryan, check out Primed Mind. It's a wonderful app that will help you with things like tilt and anxiety and just being a more productive human being, if that's your speed. Boy Ray, coming all the way from Japan. Hi Rofros, hey Pyro. The Goat Seeker, my common opponent who has risen too high into like the top 100 to face me as often. Denman Falcon, happy belated again, my friend. Good Pro Joe, hey Joe. Doc D, the king of new Marvel Snap content. It is almost 1 in the morning. I'm going to fly through the rest of this, my friends. Fat Nick, Doku, Ginger Prime, Ginge, Philip Rakovitz, Ratko, and Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, the OG Rob Silverman, the notorious Beza X-Force and Skippy G, Tommy Nyquist, who won Snapchat League Season 1, the King of Bros, bruh, Black Dahlia, the Great Kazoo, Jessica Gamble, hey Jess, Ryan Wood, our personal Woody, ooh, that sounded wrong, Kev C. Hoda, hey Kev, hopefully you got Infinite with the deck we talked about. Luna Chris. Hey Luna, hopefully you're still enjoying the game. Did you get Arishem? Let me know. Archangel 3K. My former student, Louis Antonez. Mod Supreme Models. The one and only Darth Vader. Rema Setala. Hope you're doing well, Rema. Brian Kaufman. Tristan H. Martin. Jason B. JD Macdonaldinho. Rank 100, baby. The Fuzzy Dunlop. Spectrumix. Hoot. Matt H. DJ Mikey Hijinks. No Frickin' Flex, Ocularis, Mr. Craig Sterry, Seamus. Haven't heard from Seamus. Seamus fell behind, I know it. Jonesy. Two ties, crushing it with Agatha in Arishem. The Pirate King Tuccrr. The Homie Man. And of course, Gunny T, where the T stands for. I hope you have a happy and safe 4th of July. I also hope this country doesn't go out down a real dark path real soon. Peace, everybody. See you tomorrow for another Snap Take.